Hey, good morning, and thank you for joining us for a 27th episode of Sales and Marketing FriTalks. Every second Friday, we share insights, best practices, and anecdotes from technology companies. In these episodes of Sales and Marketing FriTalks, our guest is Inga Sartauskaite, Sales Director of Companial, a former one-click factory. Welcome back, Inga.
Good day to everybody. Thank you, Andres and
Welcome.
Roland, for inviting me.
Yeah, this time we invited Inga to talk about the product demos and how to make them your ultimate sales tool. And why it is so important to think about the demos and to mastering this. I just found very interesting statistics what I would like to share you before we jump into the conversation with Inga. And what was interesting for me and insightful is that on average, the SaaS company, and it very much depends on the deal size they have, but run like from 4 to even 11, 12 demos per week. So, and as we know, the demo, when somebody signs up for the demo, it definitely signaling that the person is in very close steps to the purchasing decision, right? Typically, if you look to the buyer journey, the demo is where people already almost ready to buy, so they are like just want to make sure, like last things, to see a product, to taste it, to maybe verify certain things and concerns. And that's a very important step where where you need to be very, very well prepared to make it really converting into sales. And why so? Because the statistics also shows that the conversion rate or close rate from the demo to sales ranges from 20 to 50%. And imagine how big difference it is. You can of course calculate for your own business, but if your deal size is around like several K or even maybe tens of thousand euro, right? So how big is the difference converting just 20% of people who came to the demo versus 50%? You can more than double your business potentially if you do demo right, if you convert people who comes to the demo. And there are certain things you need to follow, and that is exactly what we are going to discuss today with Inga. And therefore, I'm handing over to Inga, and probably the first thing to start is basically what is the the main pitfalls, what you face, what you see people facing during the demo, or how to make it working better.
So I would say that there are many pitfalls, and Andres, it's very interesting statistical data that you shared, which brings that pre-sales
Yeah.
people or people who are demonstrating the product or solution, they face a lot of pressure. They face a lot of pressure
Mhm.
from the company, from themselves to do the job really perfectly. Because these people need to understand that likelihood and companies'
Mhm.
benefits depend on how they do the job. And even though technical people would say, "Nah, we have such a great product; it will sell it will sell itself." In reality, you do need the skills to promote the solution and to demonstrate
Yeah.
this in a proper way. And just like you said, yes, we are in the very end of the buying journey when someone asks to show the
Mhm.
demonstration.
Mhm.
So of course, this puts additional pressure. Now talking about mistakes. I deliver training sessions for people who want to learn how do they improve and what are the
Mhm.
strategies to go to. And usually the first half of the day we spend discussing the bad habits only. So which says there are so many bad habits, like bad behaviors that we do during demonstration. What I would probably name the first one, that it's not really in the bad behavior list, but it's more the mindset. That typically it is technical or pre-sales people, technical people with pre-sales background that are coming to demonstrate the software. And in most of the cases, they don't think that they are in the role of a salesperson. They come with a salesperson. This is another typical situation, and they expect that overall the closing deal, the closing ratio doesn't depend for them. They are here to show the solution only, and they show that in a way that they either build or they realize. They don't treat that as a sales activity. So this is the number one thing that I always encourage to change. When you are in the front of the customer, you are a salesperson, you like that or not. And then there are a bunch of bad habits that are different for senior people and for young people. Senior people, they feel they know everything. They take it for granted. Sometimes they feel that they are above the customer who is in front of them. They start arguing with the customer, or disalignment is okay, but when you I'm looking for an English word that you show that you are higher in the higher position. So
Arrogance,
in this
perhaps?
way, something like that. They're being arrogant. They get anxious when the other side doesn't understand the things. Uh, so these kind of mistakes for young people, of course, this is anxiety, but from the other side, that they
Mm,
hide under the computer and they show the solution field by field, going, well, this is one tab, this is another tab, here what
yeah,
you do. Or that again, this is valid for senior L and for junior. Talking too much, not adapting the presentation, giving examples that don't have anything to do with a particular customer, so it's like talking to the wall. Or
yes,
even getting excited and saying, well, this is the functionality that I really love. And yes, in reality, when you are excited, when you love the solution that you present, it's a good sign. But as long as this new either feature or functionality or even process is relevant for the customer, if you don't bring the relevance into the picture,
yeah.
then you lose the point.
Yeah, there is an interesting thing, and I also was surprised, but another statistics I was looking at while preparing for this conversation is that about the effectiveness of discovery before the demo, and that is what you also said. So understanding what actually customer is looking for, and how to uh, adjust the demonstration, those scenarios, the story itself, to what actually is relevant to the customer. And surprisingly for me, that uh, those who are not doing like discovery before the demonstration, they 73% less often in winning this opportunity. So imagine, so almost twice less chances for them to make the win from this demonstration, because they are not well prepared. They don't know really much about the customer, and have not adjusted the story to that. Yeah.
Exactly. So discovery, so demonstration skills is two sides of the story. First,
Mhm.
it's demo itself. So how do we structure the demo? How do we recognize mistakes? How do we avoid bad habits? How do we engage with the audience? But also there's a discovery part that helps us do the better job in the demo. Just let's take an example of remote demonstration. The golden rule in the remote demonstration is that you should evoke the audience. And one of the simplest tools to evoke that is by saying names, asking questions, double checking. So how can you double check? Let's say, so Andreas, is that something that you were looking for?
Mhm.
Or
Mhm.
Roland's last time you mentioned that you really need to fix this kind of problem. Is this what you expected? So while doing discovery, not only do you know what to demonstrate, but also
Yes.
you get these referral points to evoke the audience and show that you really were listening, that you were adopting, even if you're not adopting your presentation, because if you have a very standard out of the box solution, most likely you will not be adopting. But just hearing and mentioning those things will look you like you were
Yeah.
adopting and preparing a lot. So these are very important things. Discovery is an important topic, Andres. You are totally right.
Yeah, and a
Roland.
solution typically remains the same. You basically don't sell any
Yes.
different solution than, to other customer, but the story is different, and that is what you have to really prepare and adjust, like as you just said. Yeah, but how do you see this like discovery session? Is it something what you need to really make part of your sales process? So meaning that if somebody is so far with you already that they are looking for a demonstration of your solution, do you need to have a separate meeting with them just to go through these discovery questions, understand better what exactly they are looking for, or how do you see this part in the sales
I
process from your
I see
experience?
this I see this part as a qualification phase. So meaning just
Mhm.
like when you get a lead, someone registers.
Yes.
Of course, it depends on the size of the deal. If it is a customized solution, it's a
Mhm.
normal and standard step in the process that you contact the other side saying, well, okay, we have a customized solution. We need to figure out what exactly to show in order not to waste your time. We want to get the most out of the
Yes.
meeting. So let's
Yes.
spend either 10 minutes, half an hour. It depends on the length of the solution that you're selling. In
Mhm.
some
Mhm.
cases, for the very out of the box solutions, of course, not always will the other side agree on the meeting. Getting the meeting with the customer, we
Yes.
understand now. It's a different story. People like to be anonymous. They like to find all the information online. So might be that they have done a lot of discovery themselves. So they want, just like you mentioned before, they want maybe to just verify what they have found. But even in this case, I would respond to them. Okay, so I understand you are interested in the solution. For me, for me to prepare and be on board, these are just very four or whatever questions that I need to know, and then I would ask those questions. And if someone doesn't respond, it's not a good signal, because if someone is interested in buying your solution, they shouldn't be willing to waste their time coming to the demo that is meaningless for them. So typically, in
Yeah.
my experience, partners or customers do respond.
Yeah, I
Roland,
think
I see that
it's
you had a question. You were
Yes, I
raising your hand.
yes, I was indeed. Look, who do you think in company should be responsible for doing the demo? Should that be a salesperson or should that be technical person? And should
So
it be separated at all?
Again, it's a very good question, and I think quite different strategies might apply. For example, in the case of large, complicated projects where we're selling the solution, a typical scenario is that there is salesperson and a technical person coming.
Mhm.
And in this scenario, we even agree on the how do we do that. So it's not so that it doesn't so that we don't get into the situation where a salesperson comes, provides a sales pitch on the company. We have been 10 years on the market. We are golden certified partner. And here's a smarter guy who will introduce the solution that we have. And this is already the tactics and strategies. So how do we play that balance so that both players, technical expert and salesperson, has equal parts in the play? On the other hand, with startup solutions, with a small out of the box installations, the recommendation is that it's actually salesperson who should do that. And the reason behind is that we don't get too many meetings with a customer. We need to be prepared. And if salesperson takes the phone or takes the meeting, and then someone says, I just need to show this one process, salesperson should be prepared to take the predefined processes, demos out of the box, and to be able to show that. It's okay that he doesn't cover all the details, and it's okay to say, well, I am a salesperson, but from generic view, this is how we can fix your problem. For a more in-depth presentation, I will need to schedule another meeting where before that meeting we will do a discovery. We will ask we will align on what is exactly that you want to show. But for building trust and to showing that I am worth to listen to and to talk to, salespersons in fact should be able to demonstrate. So the short answer like this.
I would agree. I think I myself was involved in many, like hundreds, if not thousands, of demos in my career. But what I can say that probably nowadays, especially in the technology business, every salesperson should be able to demonstrate the solution on basic level. That's my personal takeaway. But then, as you suggested, if it goes deep into some specifics, into some technological, maybe, or technical question, then there should be an expert involved, and it's totally okay to say that it's not today, but maybe tomorrow or other day we can arrange a separate session with you. But I think it's also, like answering Roland's question, very much depends on what the average revenue you generate with your solution, because like affording having several people involved into the demonstration process, it's not something what every company can do, right? And there is even some businesses where like live demonstration doesn't not make any economical sense for you at all. So you need to think also like how to run it maybe in different way. Like if your average monthly or annual revenue from the customer is below some threshold, and I read again some other article saying that if your annual revenue are below like 2,000-3,000 of euro annually, right? So that it does not make sense for you to run a live demo. So you need to have a different solution, and so on.
Absolutely.
So there are many things.
Yeah, I think also companies who have multiple pricing tiers for different customers, let's say for individual users, for medium companies and enterprises, should actually also very much differentiate their demo experience, because probably it will never pay off to have your technical pre-sales on call with individual users to do demonstrations. However, if you suddenly have, let's say, Microsoft interested in your product, you would be happy to fly all team over to Seattle to do demonstration, because you would expect perhaps tens of millions of revenue. And these are, of course, completely different things requiring different
However,
effort.
it is also very important to reconfirm that this is a firm interest, right? And they have some serious like business opportunity with you. But yeah, this qualification, what Inga actually was referring, is very, very important part as well. So before you put all your efforts into like showcasing the solution, like putting like several people in front of the customer, make sure that you have identified that there is a need, there is a budget, there is authority, and other things related to the decision making. Okay,
Exactly.
but yeah.
Now I forgot. So basically, you are very right regarding the budget and who should do that. Also, what I would be very much in favor of having predefined sales process. By this I mean that if you have a certain steps, it's very easy for you to evaluate whether you are in alignment with your salesperson process or not. And if you do a demo, the initial demo, and then you do the discovery and the second demo, and afterwards more demos are needed, this might be already a big signal for you that something went wrong. Either your your initial demo didn't work, or you didn't do discovery, because it is a cost to do a demonstration for a company. It's a cost. And if the company goes, oh, but one more person wants to see it, oh, but we forgot to include another person, this is not the company to blame, but it's rather your process and your salespeople to blame, who did not do a proper discovery, who did not identify the decision makers and what it's needed to show. So all these objection handling and what I am demonstrating, it's really important, as you have to be in alignment with your process to be on the budget of your sales cost side.
So it means that basically you need to have a documented sales process, and you need to follow it. And demo is not something like as a separated out of this. It's part of this process. And if you came to the demo without like passing through the previous steps like qualification, maybe discovery and something like that, that might be dangerous for your business because it will generate a lot of workload and costs, but not maybe a business, right?
And it will make you less effective. Of course, it's always, if you know the process, if you know what you expect out of every single
Mhm.
activity from the process, of course then you feel more confident with what you're doing. So this is true for every case. People just tend to think that sales process is something chaotic process. No, it's a very formal and predefined process, and once everybody is in alignment with what is going on, then pre-sales people know what to expect, salespeople want what to expect, and so on. Also, to add the very interesting thing to the bad habits that we shared.
Mhm.
So working in a team is one of the bad habits or best practices that we train the companies to take. And just like in our case, when I say, okay, so who is have the control and how do we go to the meeting if there are more than one person coming? So just like Roland was raising hand, this is the by signaling. So this is again, so sometimes if you don't agree on the signaling system or some other system, you come to the demonstration and then everybody's flying their own agenda. Salesperson has its own agenda, pre-sales person has its own agenda. If it's complicated the project and we have a CEO or top management in place, they do too have their own agenda. So agreeing on how do we come to demo, what strategy do we take, this is a very important, especially in the remote demonstrations where it's really hard to get. And our example shows just like the same, so that we need to be in alignment.
Yeah, yeah, very true. It's I think in remote environment even more important. But what I have experienced myself, seeing very different level of preparation for the demo. Sometimes you see people come and they're really well prepared. They have, as you said, like structure. They have whether it's one person or several people participating, but they have a special slide deck. They kind of follow certain steps and certain scenarios what they actually would like to show, and they certainly lead you to some specific outcome out of this demo. And sometimes you feel that there is somebody who just came, he knows product very well, but at the same time he's like doing very chaotic and a bit unstructured demos, showing you, hey, we have that. Oh, by the way, we just released this great feature, and then they jump all over, and basically in the end of the demo you feel like, and so on. So what? Yeah, I showed maybe, or I saw the interface. I saw some great features, but I still didn't get an answer on my main question, how it will basically solve my specific scenario, right? So that's one of important. Yeah.
I think companies should do with demos similarly as telesales companies or banks. When you call them, do with call quality. They always warn you that for purposes of quality control, your call will be recording. And the same with demos. I think it's very useful to play back demos, have a coaching sessions with people who do demos, and even before demos, try to do a bit of role play the demo, help people prepare. And that, I think, is a simple way to significantly improve the quality of demos. Because generally what you want probably to create a repeatable process, which you can repeat at very, very high quality multiple times a day, faster, easier, with less effort, with better quality, and so on.
Yes, and you want to share. Yes, exactly. And you want to have this like library of demos so that every salesperson could take the piece that he needs for a particular customer or prospect, and that we reuse the knowledge that we have in the company, so that it's not that depending on the salesperson who is sent them to the call or to the meeting.
Inga, what would be like a good structure of the demonstration from your experience? What are the most important parts to be for sure included, and what things you might be considering avoiding to be part of it? And how long actually should be the demonstration?
Oh, how long? It of course depends on the solution. There are presentations that last a day, but not maybe
Oh,
nowadays, not too many of those, but there are
mhm.
like training
This
sessions
is
on the
already very
product.
deep dive.
Yes, deep dive. But then, so typically, I am a fan of these shorter presentations. But again, it
Mhm.
depends on the solution. They say that the human mind can process 20 to 45 minutes of length,
Yes.
and after that, you should change something. So I would, and with the remote life, I see that people are tired already of anything that it's longer than that. So this is from the length perspective. Then, from the structure perspective, they say that the structure should be very similar to the movie because the goal of the presentation
Storytelling.
it's very it's not really the storytelling, but we have the goal of the movie director that someone comes to the theater and we want to keep the tension for all the hour, and even more we want the ones who leave the theater promote the word and say to others, come join, this was such a great movie that I saw. And
Mhm.
from that perspective, then presentation consists basically of three steps. This is the beginning. This is okay. So something happens right away. Somebody got killed or the crash accident, some kind of intrigue happening in the beginning. Then we have the demo itself, where we show kind of how the story involves. So what happened, either how everything was fixed, how what
Yes.
happened. And then lastly, we had the ending where we connect the beginning, the crash, with the end story, either who caused the crash or who is the killer, and so on. So what we see in practice that companies are really good at this second part of the story on
Mhm.
showing the solution itself. This is what we have built. This is how we can address you. But if we look from this wow perspective, it is the beginning and the ending that will leave the emphasis for you. So I would, if there is one thing that I would change is how how partners, companies are presenting and entering the beginning and how they are ending. There are so many cases. Almost every presentation, when people come to the trainings, they show the solution and they go, "So I hope you liked what you saw." And this is
Yeah.
not how you end the presentation. You just did a terrific job presenting the solution. So this is the time for you to say, so I invite you to take the next step. I hope that what you like,
Mhm.
what you just saw, makes sense for you. And then name and ask names. So, well, is that what you expected? Is the price okay? Is the surrounding okay? So this is kind of how you close that. Show some proofs
Yeah. The
why the
clo
solution is good.
Mhm.
So the closing, so when we use slides, I remove all the slides that end with thank you. No thank you in my slides.
Yeah, closing is super important because that is actually what converts you to the sales or
Yeah,
to the next step, right? And yeah, I fully
exactly.
agree with you on this structure, and I think we all have to improve into this, preparation or like making the intrigue or like creating the
Yeah.
story, basically. And what I believe can help is exactly what we discussed in the beginning, like discovery. If you really
Hmm.
understood well what are the pain points of your potential client, right? Why do they look for the solution? Then you can play around this. Like imagine what would happen if you would do or would have that and that, or what would happen if happens, like, I don't know, if it's security solution, like, your network is down or something like that. And then you start from there and you show the scenario, and then you basically impress them, and then you say, okay, now you would like to have a pilot maybe with us, and things
Exactly.
like that.
So what,
Yeah.
Andres, what you have just showed, this is a very good example of how we should structure. So the
Yeah.
beginning it is, so here's is what your situation is looks like at the moment. And you don't exaggerate, but you put a very concrete picture that you might be at risk with security, you are not in alignment, you never know, or you might even share the story of a
Yes.
similar company who has just experienced some kind of accident, and then you show the solution, and then you kind of build the bridge. So if our solution is implemented, the beginning of the story will never be applied to you because
Yes.
this and
Yes.
that and
Never
that will be
happen. Yes.
secured. So this is
Exactly.
a chrestomatic example of how should we structure, but there are many more ways to do this nice storytelling.
But like as time is running, always, we have so many things to discuss. But one another thing I would like to maybe ask still, like there are usually, especially if you do like a demo to the enterprise clients, there are many people participating. And do you have any good tips on how to keep the attention level high? So how to make people like really participating and being engaged?
Yes, actually, this is a very important part of what we train. Also, so mentioning the audience, I always in the class I always ask, so who can you influence with your presentation? And depending on that, what benefits should you add? And there are different responses. Some say, oh, it's operational people, or it's the decision maker, the CEO, the technical management. And this is a tricky question because typically the answer is that you can only influence the ones who are sitting in the chairs. So first thing, we again are back to the discovery that we need to know who will be taking stairs, who will be sitting in our demonstration. We can influence only those people. And yes, it's very likely that we will have all three groups. We will have operational people, we will have middle management, we will have top management. And in here, the structure is that we should address all of them. If we leave any kind of group behind, they will not be advocates for us. Not only advocates, they will be as stockholders for the solution to move forward. And the rule again is let's identify what are the interest areas for these groups. So the operational people, as you might guess, they are interested to understand whether the solution will make their life easier or harder.
Mhm.
Basically, that's it. This is the only thing that they are interested in. Then we have top management who do not care whether the solution will be hard to use or easy to use. They care whether the solution is in alignment with their strategy, whether the solution will help bring the company to the next level in 3 years, 5 years, or not. And then in the middle, we have middle management who are interested in the processes. Will it help fix my broken process? Will it help me improve efficiency? So, okay, so let's imagine we have all three groups and we need to address all of them. And this is how we do by step, by
Mhm.
providing little information. The beginning and the end most likely will go with a value claim for the top management. So this is why it will be fixed in the
Correct.
long term. And
Yeah.
then we have little scenes in between, and we open up the scene with the information that is valid for the middle management, and we end up for the with the in the story we include many operational benefits, so that every time we go from the beginning to the end, all the groups hear something important to them. So this is how we structure. It sounds complicated, but once you get used and once you know the structure, it's really piece of cake.
Yeah, so exactly, but to make this structure, that's what you actually need to put efforts on to really prepare the process. Do not rely just on ad hoc type of approach. Be well prepared. Know what is your sales process, where the demo is part of this process, and what actually outcomes it have to run and have to drive as part of the overall process. So then I would like just to thank you, Inga, for being again with us and sharing such valuable insights. I just also wanted to remind that everyone who wants to know more from leaders like Inga on different sales and marketing topics, please follow our company page, ibd-consulting, or just subscribe to the hashtag FriTalks on LinkedIn. And we also have a YouTube channel now where there are like tons of different videos, both from our FriTalks conversations, but also from our webinars and other events where you can find, something what definitely will be value for you. All the FriTalks are also available in the podcast format, so please subscribe to our FriTalks on the podcast platform of your preference and provide us feedback. We would love to learn what do you think about us, what do you think about topics what we are discussing, and please share ideas on topics what we need to discuss, what you would be interested in. So thanks again, everyone, for being with us today. And as there is a summer outside, and I don't know how about you, but we have very hot weather nowadays. We will take some pause till the end of July, where we will be back then, and we'll continue with new episodes and new topics. Stay tuned.